to the Hi there, and welcome to the Inspire Summit, the start of week 2. What an amazing event it has been so far. I mean, such a fantastic speakers with really interesting topics. And so, no pressure here at this end. I'm wanting to check that we're actually going live into the group before I actually start the presentation. But if you are there now, it would be good if you can send me some hearts and some likes and let me know that you can hear me okay, and that would be fantastic. So today, I can't really, just bear with. Sometimes technology doesn't actually work as you want it to. It can be incredibly frustrating sometimes. No, that's not me going live there. That's someone else in the... here we go. Right. Okay, we are definitely live in the Facebook group. So let me put that to one side. As I say, please send me some hearts. Please send me some likes. And, during the course of this talk, if you would like to ask any questions, please put them in the chat or comments boxes, and I will go back later on and answer. I'm not going to answer them piecemeal because, one, I can't see the comments as I'm doing this presentation. So a very, very warm welcome to you all. And if you're listening live and if you are going to listen onto the replay. So I'm going to be speaking today about communication and how effective communication can really have a positive personal impact on the way that people think and feel about you. Look, we're emotional beings, and feelings are really important to all of us. So how people make us feel and how we make them feel is so terribly important. Okay, so let's crack on. I will crack on if we can move the slides along. Here we go. Right, just a little bit of what's going to happen. This talk will be for around 45 to 55 minutes. Sometimes I can go off track, but I'm really going to stay on track because I've got a lot to share with you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am, how we communicate, what IMA is. It's a tool that I use to help my clients who are having problems with their communication. It's a wonderful tool that really, really can make all the difference. The different IMA styles, which are we've all got a different style, so some more information about that. An example of conflict. None of us like conflict. We want to have easy, effortless conversations, and how we can connect with each other, each IMA style. I'm going to share a couple of case studies, and then I'm going to invite you to find out what your own style is. There'll be a link at the end, and then there'll be a close. So let us progress. Okay, a little bit about me. I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm a life coach, certified life coach, and also an accredited IMA practitioner. I've done very, very many trainings. I use lots of modalities in my work. I primarily work with professional women who are wanting to progress their careers or move into leadership with confidence and self-belief. And when I'm not doing that, I'm a mom. I have 2 amazing sons, young men. They're in their 20s now, and here are some pictures of them. They are my most treasured gifts, and they make my heart sing. And also, I share my life on a full-time basis with Alf, my miniature wire-haired dachshund. And there's a little picture of him there. He's an absolute cutie and keeps me fit with our walks. Prior to all that, I spent very many years in the corporate legal world. I worked, my last position, which I had for 11 years, was running a very big joint venture international law firm. It was a joint venture of two very big American law firms, and they came over to London, and I started to run their offices. We then had offices in Czech Republic, or it was Czechoslovakia then, and Germany. So I spent a lot of time in Europe, I spent a lot of time in London, spent a lot of time in the States. We had about 20 offices in the States. And I was managing teams, managing departments. So I have some fantastic experience of managing people, also managing people from different continents, different cultures, different languages. So I feel I'm really well placed to be able to talk about effective communication. So that's me. And when I'm not doing any of that I've just said, I'm a hobby photographer. I love pottering about with either my iPhone or my camera. So a question: have you ever met someone and after a couple of minutes you feel like you've known them for years? Or have you met someone and after a couple of minutes you feel like you've absolutely nothing in common with them at all and you just can't wait to get the hell out? I'm sure it certainly happened to me, and I'm sure that it has happened to you too. And another question or thought is, how would it feel when you're interacting with every new person that you meet, or, you know, people that you already know, in building your network, interviewing for a promotion or a new job, pitching to potential clients, or even managing your teams? And those conversations that you had were just easy and flowed. You know, there would be no awkwardness or stress. You just clicked. You know, it would be absolute bliss, wouldn't it, if you could have those conversations with everybody. Also think about, you know, other people that are important to you in your life, especially those that, you know, play a part towards your happiness and success in either your career and its progression or in your business. And more importantly, those people in your personal life. To have easy and effortless conversations where you're listened to, you're understood, respected, and remembered, and also without the fear of there being any conflict at all. So, how do we communicate? These are things that just happen automatically. We don't necessarily think about it, but when we want to share our ideas, our thoughts or feelings, we go about it something like this. We have this idea and we decide we want to transmit it to someone else. And we organize the means to transmit that idea or thought, which is called encoding. And we transmit this idea through words, through body language, vocal and facial expressions. And the idea is received at the other end. It's decoded. And after the idea has been decoded, some action is taken. It's either a physical action or it's a response. And as I say, all this happens in seconds, but it also happens on the assumption that we have made ourselves clear, our idea or message has been understood, and the other person will respond or take some action. Now, if only it was that simple or easy. Pardon me. So, what is IMA? I was introduced to IMA about 12 years ago, and it's the brainchild of a chap called James Knight. And he spent very many years researching behavior. It's not a psychometric test like Myers-Briggs or anything like that, but he was very interested in making connection. He was he's a salesman primarily. That's how he started his career. And he understood the importance of making connections with the people he wanted to sell to, and how important it was to make a really good impression and, be remembered, that personal impact element of meeting new people. And he, as I say, he devised a universal colour-based language, which has 4 dialects, and it's designed to help people communicate more effectively and maximize connectivity at every level of their lives. So it's an acronym. I is to identify, identifying your IMA dialect and that of the person that you're dealing with, speaking to. And when you know this, you know how they think, how they like to give and receive communication and information, and how, very importantly, how they operate under stress, and the pace that they operate at. Stress is such a, as emotional beings, we can be stressed at the slightest thing, being under pressure to get a report out, or being under pressure to pick the kids up from school. All those sorts of things can create stress. But when we're communicating with people and we don't understand them and they're not understanding us, that can create enormous stress. And the M stands for modifying. That's to modify the message that you're delivering in a way that it's most likely to be understood. It's, you're not changing your personality or anything like that. You're just thinking about how that person receives that information, how they interpret it, and, to do it in a way that's going to make sense to them. And adapting your behavior. So, for example, we'll learn later on how people work at different paces. And if you're slow-paced, a fast-paced person can sort of irritate you, or vice versa. So, you're just going to adapt your behavior depending on the person that you're communicating with. The 4 dialects of IMA, they're color-coded, as I say, and I just wanted to put this image up here to, show lots of people with their various different color bubbles. Just to, if you've got different color bubbles talking to one another, there could be misunderstanding, etc., etc. If you've got the same color bubble people talking together, they're on the same wavelength. But I just wanted to show that image because every person speaks one dialect naturally, putting them on the same wavelength as 25% of the population. And 75% of the world's population speaks one of the other 3 dialects. So if we think about those numbers in simple terms, you are only on the same wavelength of 1/4 of the people that you interact with. And that was sort of a really mind-blowing statistic for me when I was first introduced to IMA. And, for me personally, since I have been using it all these years, it made a huge difference in my life, in every area of my life, both professionally, business-wise, and personally. So when we are on the same wavelength as people, they see the best in us. They place weight on what we say, they focus on our strengths and actually overcome our shortcomings. They like being with you and go out of their way to help you. Just think of, the people that you really, really click with, how you enjoy their company. And, if they're recommending somebody or something to you, you're going to, really pay attention to that. And pardon me, if you overhear of someone who's looking for someone like that person, either in business or in your place of work, you're going to recommend them. So it's important, you know, to be on the same wavelength as people as much as you can, because it will go in your favor and work towards your success and happiness. And alternatively, when, you know, we're not on the same wavelength as people, you know, that scenario when you're talking to somebody and you just want the floor to swallow you up because it's so awkward, there's a much harder time connecting. You're not really listening because you're thinking, you know, this is dull, or what is this person talking about, or a million other things are going through your mind. And so you're not listening, and therefore there's going to be more miscommunication. They're certainly far less likely to influence you, or you influence them. And yes, do rub one another up the wrong way. And just by being yourself, or, you know, they're rubbing you up the wrong way, just by being them. And it makes you, you know, far less likable. You're not going to be recommended or approached to run a team or, you know, provide a service to someone. So how does IMA work? To get on the same wavelength, we need to really connect with and create a more positive impression. Know what your IMA style is, and also that of the person that you're dealing with. There are 2 elements and 4 possibilities. There are assertive and non-assertive people, and self-contained and open people. And the self-contained people tend to be more task-orientated. The open people tend to be more relationship-orientated. And so that you can be assertive, task-orientated, or assertive, relationship-orientated. Relationship-orientated, it's a right mouthful, non-assertive, or a task-orientated, non-assertive person. And that gives the 4, that combination will give the 4 IMA dialects, which we're going to go on to. I just wanted to mention about assertive and non-assertive, because some people have, you know, they can have real problems with that. And being assertive is not being aggressive. I'm not saying there aren't some aggressive, assertive people, but generally being assertive is about the ability to speak up for yourself in a way that's honest and respectful. It's not about intentionally hurting anyone's feelings or being aggressive. It's just about being direct, and you've got a direct and honest manner. So that's how I would like to, you know, with regard to the IMA assertive, non-assertive, that's how we like to address and look at those 2 difference in characteristics. So, for example, an assertive person is more tends to be more competitive, controlling. All these things here, they're quick at making decisions. They can be intense. They really are not afraid of conflict. I'm not saying they relish it, but they're certainly not afraid of it. They tend to break or bend the rules, whereas a non-assertive person is much more reserved. They are more in tune to collaboration. They work at a slower pace, and they're very deliberate in their decision-making, and they really want a more harmonious environment. And they tend to talk in sort of shades of grey. It's not about, I believe. It will be, you know, I believe that we should do this, or I think we should do this. It will be something along the lines of, well, when this was done before it, you know, they're not as sort of, I suppose, upfront with regard to how they give their opinions. So, for example, an assertive person will just say to you, you know, sit down, and a non-assertive person would say something along the lines of, would you like to sit down? So that's how I interpret assertive and non-assertive. I mean, if you just tell somebody to sit down, they might think, oh, that's a bit sharp, but it's not meant to be sharp. You know, they're sort of very focused and get to the point. Okay, so let's look at the colours. James calls these colours high green, high red, high blue. And I think it's really good. James is a very, very fun person, and you can tell a little about his personality when you look at the images that he created for the 4 dialects. So the first one we're going to look at is a non-assertive, task-orientated person who tend to be, you know, much more self-contained. And these people come under the category of a high green. They tend to be more serious, analytical, quite persistent, systematic. They're task orientated, keep on the task. It's very important to finish that task. They're people who enjoy problem solving and perfecting processes, and also working to a tangible result. They like to do research and make comparisons, determine what the risk is before they go ahead, and calculate the margins of error. And then they'll take some action. And these people are fantastic in professions such as accountancy, actuary, and software programmers, for example, because, you know, it's very analytical. You need to be persistent and, you know, perfecting and working through processes and being very, very precise. They tend to be much more time disciplined and logical, and, you know, they stick by the rules, and they're very respectful of the rules, and, you know, they're structured and well organized, which those 3 professions, I mean, there's lots of others, I'm just giving you some examples, which those 3 professions tend to be. I mean, let's face it, you don't want somebody who's not serious putting up filing your tax return for you. That doesn't work at all. Okay, the next one is the high blue. A high blue is a non-assertive, relationship-orientated person, and they're very open. Blues are people, they're warm, they're supportive, they're nurturing individuals who develop strong networks of people who are willing to be mutually supportive. And they're also incredibly reliable. They're fantastic team players, they're courteous, friendly, very good at planning, and they get on with the job until it's finished, and they're very good with follow through. You know, I'll talk about teams later. Anyway, sorry. They want to be pleasant, they're non-assertive, as I've said, and they want to be supported of their feelings. Feelings are very, very high for a high blue. They're big on their agenda, and they can take things very, very personally. And jobs, professions for high blues, they are fantastic salespeople because they're very people orientated, and they will, they're chatty Cathys. They will spend the time and the effort and getting to know that person, what their likes, dislikes are. So as I say, very good at salespeople, fantastic in customer service, and all those customer facing jobs. I'm just going to take a glass of water. No, a drink. Excuse me, thank you. Okay, an assertive, task-orientated person is a high red, very, very self-contained like the high green. These people are very goal-orientated, they're go-getters, and are much more comfortable when they are in charge or in control of situations and people. And they focus on a no-nonsense approach to the bottom line results. And they're very quick-paced, they're task-orientated, and work very quickly by themselves. The jobs that have been predominantly high-red jobs are those of like CEOs, managers, and things like that. The problem is, and especially now as we're moving, well, we've been moving slowly, and this, and you know, predominantly, you know, after the pandemic, that managers are really having a hard time. Companies are really having a hard time because the high red, the managers, have never really been people. They are results orientated people. And that's not to say that they're not a caring kind of bod, or they don't, you know, they're not interested. It's just that they're so focused on the results that they really don't care how they get to the result. It's the result that is, you know, predominantly at the forefront of their mind. And as I say, over the, well, quite a few years now, the high red, the managers, the CEOs are really having to embrace more people skills. And because people now are not prepared to put up working in what could be considered a toxic environment, for example. You know, they want to be appreciated. They want flexibility. They want lots of, you know, it's more important to feel good about the job. It's not about the pay packet at the end of the day. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, we're going through a bit of a tough time financially with everything being so expensive and what have you. But mental health now is so high on the agenda that that is becoming much more of a priority than the salary at the end of the day. So yeah, the Reds are having a bit of a hard time, and of the four categories, it's the managers, the CEOs, the people that are running the show that really need to embrace this kind of tool to be able to get on board with their teams, the people that work for them, and their staff. I feel quite strongly about that. I don't know whether that's come across. Anyway, the final colour is the high yellow. Now, the high yellow is the fun person. And as you can tell, James Knight is a high yellow, and I just absolutely love this this graphic. It just creases me up. It always puts a smile on my face. So a high yellow is an assertive, relationship orientated person. Again, like the high blue, they're very, very people orientated. They're outgoing, they're friendly and enthusiastic. They are the ideas person, and they excel at getting others excited about their vision. They're quick pace, they've got lots of energy, and they deal with people in a really positive, upbeat way. They're the eternal optimist who can influence people, and they're very good at building alliances to accomplish their goals. They are such fun, but they do sometimes need to be reined in, because if it's a you know, a juggle as to whether we finish a task or go to the pub, your yellow is going to be trotting up to the pub before you can say whatever. And I don't mean that's because they drink. I mean, you know, they're just quite, you know, like having a good time. Okay, so these are the four colours, and you know, you may be interested to know to take my well, it's not mine, it's a 10-question survey later on to find out, you know, what colour you are. Oh, sorry. It might also be interesting to put in the comments whether you have identified from what these short descriptions. I mean, the descriptions are really long. We don't have time to go through every single one. But whether you can identify where you think your IMA Colour is. Put it in the chat. You don't have to tell me what it is if you don't want to, but I'd love to know whether you've been able to identify it. Okay, really important this is that there is no one IMA dialect better than the other. They are as unique as we are, as our own fingerprint. But we all have a dominant communication style, and we'll have a tinge of one or more of the other colours. So I just want to share some characteristics of a high green. Again, you know, if you identify with any of these, then pop it in the comments. I'd love to know. So an eye for detail, very focused on accuracy, and they're very dependable. They work at a slower pace, excellent with follow through, very process orientated, good at problem solving, and they're very, very organized, which is what you would want in an accountant or an actuary or software programmer. What does a high green need? They need thoroughness. It's very important to be thorough. They want structure. They want to be correct. They don't mind being corrected as long as you've got the facts, and they are 100% facts. Yes, they need you to be precise. There's no point saying to a high green, well, I think it might be about 10%. No, if it's 11.5%, you need to say it's 11.5%. They need time to process. They're slower paced. They don't make fast decisions or quick decisions. They need time to process it, because it's important to them to be able to maintain their credibility. I'm just checking on the time there. So let's look at a high blue and their characteristics. As I say, they are very relaxed. They're people, easygoing, very patient and reliable, working at a slower pace, amiable, very cooperative, excellent with follow through, and you know, they tend to be much more empathetic. The blue is the person that wants to know everybody's okay, and you know, they're there to sort of, you know, be a shoulder to lean on or put their arm around you. High blues, they need friendship. You know, friendship and connection is really important to a high blue. They want to be liked, maintain relationships. It's important that you are pleasant with them, so they can get, you know, they can feel stressed by an assertive person, because you know, they're thinking that perhaps they're not considering how they feel about something when they're told, you know, sit down, or where's that report, or what have you. Harmony is incredibly important to them. That will reduce or alleviate any stress for a blue. Now, the characteristics of a high red, they're incredibly fast-paced and task-orientated. As I said, they're very, very focused on the bottom line. They will accept any challenge, just load it on, and they will get on with it. As I say, results-driven. Very good in conflict. It's not, you know, they're not looking for conflict, but if there is a conflict situation, a red will take the lead and will go in and endeavour to resolve it. They go headlong into solving problems. They are excellent multitaskers. Now, you know, the brain can only deal with one thing at a time. You know, this multitasking business is, or multitasking concept, really, there is no such thing. What happens is, with why they say multitasking, what really, really happens is the brain moves very quickly from one situation to another. And you know, people have termed that multitasking. You know, we're not ironing, frying this, or doing a presentation and talking to someone else. I mean, that's just not happening. As I said, the brain can only deal with one thing at a time, but there are people who can move very quickly from one situation to another, and a red can do that. And that's what makes them very, very good delegators, because they can delegate out and they know who's doing what, when it's due to come back to them. And so they're, as I say, very good at juggling all the balls. And what does a high red need? They need control. And, you know, this is something that we, I mean, you know, obviously somebody needs to run the show. We all need that, but there's control and there's control. Yes, to be in charge. And because they're very fast paced, they're very task orientated, they need you to be to the point, which can be very irritating for some of the other colors, especially the people, because if you go in and, I mean, I have a girlfriend who is, you know, very red, and she will say to people who don't really understand her, land the plane, and you just want the floor to swallow you up. And what she's saying is, just get to the point. I don't need chapter and verse. I just want you to give me the point. I mean, I know I'm laughing because it's funny in a not funny way, because, you know, that can be really irritating to some people, you know. Yeah, results orientated. It's important for a red to maintain the success and have their credibility, and efficiency is really important to them as well. Okay, let's get to the fun people, the high yellow characteristics. They're very enthusiastic, they're gregarious and outgoing, very fast-paced, they're impulsive. As I said, they're the ideas. They have the ideas people. I have a very high yellow in my family, and they're, I mean, I'm in awe at the ideas that, you know, just come forth. It's really quite amazing. And one of the issues with the high yellow and all the very many ideas is they'll tell you something in the morning, this fabulous idea that they've had, and they're really sort of, you know, enthusiastic about it. And then in the afternoon, this is the same day, you can say to them, oh, how's that going? Oh, no, if I've dropped that, I'm on to something else now, because another idea pops up. So, yeah, they are, you know, they are the ideas people and the fun people. High yellows need approval. They want to know that, you know, their ideas, if you can keep up with them, are, you know, are good. And they want to be admired, to be stimulated, and to maintain status. I'm not quite sure whether I actually told you. I was so busy about talking about the fun person of the yellow. I don't think I told you about the jobs that, you know, a lot of high yellows do, or where you find lots of high yellows. I'll tell you that now. A lot of them you'll find in the entertainment industry. You know, basically actors and presenters and people like that. They're very, very creative. So, you know, anybody who is creating, even, you know, you could have a software programmer who's, you know, slightly very task orientated. But of course, there's that creativity with coming up with, you know, what they come up with. I'm not a techie person, you know, code, that's it, coming up with code. So, but, you know, they may not be the fun socializing person, but they're very creative. So that's where you'll find a lot of, you know, a lot of high yellows. So I just want to show you how conflict can happen, and the opposites when you don't understand, I'm checking the time, don't understand, you know, the styles of the people that you are talking to. So looking at a high blue, you know, they're relaxed. The high red is fast paced. High blue is easygoing. Red is task orientated, results driven. The high blue wants harmony, and the red is, you know, good in conflict. They want a more harmonious environment, the blue, whereas the red wants to be in control, etc. And so the way that they act and talk and interact can, you know, just totally and utterly rub one another up the wrong way. Because the red will want the blue to get to the point, and the blue will want the red to understand them. I hope that's making some sense to you. So how to connect with each of the colours? Excuse me. To successfully connect with a green, high green, it's important to be logical, to be time disciplined, to be respectful of the rules, be prepared, really be precise, structured and well organized, and also to be supportive of their work and their thoughts. To connect with a high yellow is to be open, be positive, be quick, be flexible, generous with praise. You're doing a good job. I mean, we all want to be praised for doing our work, don't we? And we want to feel appreciated, but more so with a yellow. And also to be supportive of their ideas. I mean, you know, if people who are very, very yellow can, you know, demand quite a bit of patience because the ideas just, you know, come. And to successfully connect with a red is to be practical, be brief, you know, be assertive and to the point, and be very respectful of their time. They're very time-orientated reds, and they want you to show strength and be supportive of their goals. And this is really important when, you know, if you're looking to move into leadership, it's important to show strength, because leadership is a very, very challenging position. And, you know, if you are wanting harmony the whole time like a blue, then perhaps leadership is not the position for you. But if you can embrace IMA into your life and understand all the other dynamics, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to move into a leadership role. And here's the blues: to be open, non-assertive, be sincere, pleasant, consistent, and very supportive of their feelings. I've got a frog in my throat, which won't go. So a couple of case studies I'd like to share with you. And these are clients, obviously the names aren't, the names have been changed, they're not the real names. And Barbara was a high red, and she was excellent at her job, but the team she was managing really, really disliked her. She had an abrasive attitude, and they considered her assertiveness to be more aggressive. I mean, there might have been a bit of aggression there. Very impatient, you know, she lacked empathy, and basically the team just did not feel heard. They weren't connected. They didn't have the same enthusiasm for their work, and, you know, they didn't feel appreciated. And all of that negativity was actually reflected in the team's results. And after working with Barbara, she turned her, you know, and introducing IMA into her life, and she worked really hard to embrace it. She turned a relationship round with her team, and this reflected in, you know, the results were much better, and the team were much better. And so it was a win-win for, you know, for everybody involved. Excuse me. Also, Sophie. Sophie is a high blue, and, you know, she was working in customer services, was absolutely fantastic at it. She loved her job. You know, she was a chatty Cathy, and she loved chatting to the customers, and, you know, they liked her as well. And without actually asking her, the management of the place she was working for decided to promote her to manage their customer services team. And it just wasn't for her. She absolutely loathed that new position because she didn't want to manage people. She wasn't a manager. She was missing the job that she was doing. And within a few weeks, also, there tends to be, there can be conflict, and blues just don't like conflict. They want harmony. They want friendships and, smooth running relationships. And, very soon after, she actually asked to move back to her previous position. So, happiness is more important than, the salary at the end of the day. And also, I want to tell you about a personal story for me that, as I say, I've got a very high yellow in my family. And in fact, it's my son. I don't mind sharing, my oldest son, who, funnily enough, now has gone on to be a creative. But this was something I was learning 12 years ago when I was embracing IMA. And, we were going through those teenage years and all the other things that you can go through. And I just could not understand him at all, no matter how I tried to be patient or what have you. But once I asked him to take the survey, and once I learned what his colour was, or his, the dialect, I just totally adapted and modified how I interacted with him. And my goodness me, I cannot tell you, our relationship just went from strength to strength. And all that sort of the teenage angst, I mean, it's still going on, but not with the parent, if that makes sense. And, I was much more relaxed as a parent as well. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be in work and business that you use your IMA. I think it's also interesting to note that there are, jobs and types of customers which are better suited to the various IMA characteristics. A bit like Sophie, we were talking about in customer services. So I'm giving you this example of, say, a Porsche dealership. It's important, obviously, to ensure that the salesperson connects with the potential customers. Now, I've got several friends who are Porsche owners, and it's hard, I know that they are predominantly high red. And so I am assuming that it's highly likely that a Porsche customer will be a high red. So you can imagine the scenario, car dealership, client walks in the door, interaction, sales, all very quick. And so it's important that the salesperson is either a high red or at a push a high yellow, because they're very going to be speaking the same language and getting on the wavelength. Whereas if you had a salesperson with a high red who was a green or a blue, there won't be very many sales. I just thought I'd share that with you. It's just something that I have researched over the years. Okay, really important, just showing how each and individual IMA style is important to a team. They're all bringing very special gifts and qualities, and it is a power team. You got too many reds, oh my gosh, there'll be sort of, people leaving right, left, and center because they don't feel appreciated or understood. You've got the blues, too many blues, then, oh, everybody wants to be happy. The yellows, it's party, party, party. And, the greens are, taking too much time because they're dotting every I and they're crossing every T. So it really is an absolute dream team to ensure that you have a mix of each style in your team. So if you are managing teams and, things aren't going to plan, then this could be a really worthwhile solution for you. Okay. Obviously, IMA is a very effective communication skill, but we need to look at all the other skills that are needed for really good communication. I mean, look, just because we're talking doesn't mean we're good communicators. Communication is a skill that can be learned, and you're never too old to learn it. And these are some of the factors that are, that we need to communicate well. Is body language, maintaining eye contact with good body language, sorry, just not body language, good body language, your facial expressions, the way you hold yourself, and maintaining eye contact is really important because the people want to know that you're listening to them. Emotional intelligence, your self-awareness and awareness of what is going on around you. Listening, oh my goodness, listening. Above all, if you do nothing else, just listen. Because what happens is that if you don't feel that you're listened to, you have disconnected. The person's disconnected from you. I have found that lots of people are listening to respond. They're not listening to understand. So you don't have to answer straight away. Think about what the person has said and then respond. Your tone of voice is important. We don't want shouty, things like that. Creating empathy and understanding, showing respect. Having confidence is important. A good, important communication skill, because if the other person doesn't feel that you're confident in what you're saying, in what you're doing, then you're not really going to be believed. And to keep an open mind, we are all unique, amazing individuals, and really make an effort not to make a judgment before somebody's opened their mouth. I mean, I know we do, and that's another story, but all these that I bring into my communication program, but we don't have time to go through it all now. Okay, so we are coming towards the end of my talk. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please leave your comments and questions, and I'll get back to you. If you're curious to discover your IMA Colour, then you can scan this QR code and answer the 10 question survey, and I will reply to you and let you know what it is. I am not the sharpest tool in the toolbox when it comes to tech, and I couldn't reduce this link to so you could sort of copy the link. Then I thought I could put it in the chat, so I don't even know why I left it on the slide. So ignore the link. I can put, I don't know if I can put the QR code, as I say, I'm not tech savvy. But anyway, if you'd like to do this survey, have a go. It can be fun. And just to say that if IMA and enhancing your communication skills is something that you or your team would benefit from, either professionally or personally, I have a 4-week one-to-one program specifically designed to teach you everything that you need to know so that you can start to really connect with those people that are important to you. And, they could be important for your happiness and your success, and that you can understand them, and even more importantly, that they can understand you. So you can send me a direct message, I think from Facebook, or I might put, you can just send me a message and I can get back to you. And so thank you so much for your time and attention. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something new and interesting. And I'd like to leave you with this quote. I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Oh, it's a typing error, but I think you get the gist. And that's from Maya Angelou. And I think that is really, really important. We are emotional beings, and how we feel is so important, and feeling on the same wavelength, whoever you come into contact with, is going to make your day and their day. So thank you so much. Hope to, oh, don't forget to listen to all the other wonderful speakers coming up this week. And if I can help you in any way, then just send me a message. Okay, bye-bye. Right. Oh, I don't know how to stop it. Oh, the tech is not me. Oh, the video has ended. I think it has ended.
Hi, Marie.
Oh. Hi.
That was brilliant. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Let me just
All right. Okay. Good.
Let me just stop the
I think